speaking of things that bother me, something I saw this tweet yesterday, Mark. I need you to take a look at it. It says, and I quote, Manchester City dropping their case against the Premier League in relation to the associated party rules doesn't bode well for the 115 case. Why would City concede if there wasn't something coming their way in return? Unpack that for us, Mr. Goldbridge.
Honestly, I just put it out there because I just read a couple of tweets. I mean, I don't even know if it's accurate, but my feeling is that they were very. I don't have a lot of confidence in the Premier League. Breaking news: Man City, if they aren't fined charged, fair play. You know, that like the Premier League have made themselves look an absolute bunch of banter prats, haven't they? So, but I sort of have been keeping an eye on it, and from what I remember before, Man City were very confident that they were going to win that ATP case. So for it to be dropped, obviously benefits the Premier League. I just do wonder if there is some sort of negotiation gone on where Man City might not get such a harsh punishment at the other end. However, some people have said to me it could be good for the Premier League because it means Man City know that they can't win that case, which makes the Premier League case stronger. I don't know. Look, maybe I'm just tired of it, but I just think that why would Man City not push that through to a conclusion that they thought they were going to win? It's basically an out of court settlement, isn't it? As I understand it, they both agreed to not go forward with it. So have Man City basically gone, shit, we're in trouble, why waste our time? Or are they actually in discussion going, okay, we'll pull away from that to preserve the Premier League? Because if they'd won that case, it could have major ramifications for the foundations of the Premier League. So maybe they're sort of now going, we've tried to go the tough way. Maybe now we go a little bit like, look, okay, all right, we're going to back off. Maybe you back off from us. I don't know. The trouble is, we're not being educated on this case. Yeah. And therefore, people are going to go, what does this mean? What does that mean? I don't think it's going to end up with anything bad for Man City. Is my stance. I'll be very surprised if it does.
Yeah, I think people. What I've read, different tweets. City fans are like, Prem back down. They let us put our deals through. People that hate City are the City back down and now admit that the law's okay. My view on this APT case was the same the whole way through. I don't believe in this cartel bullshit that the Villas and the Forest and the City fans push. I don't believe that PSR holds clubs back. There's a reason that Spurs during the PSR era have gone from a team turning over 150 million a year to 700 odd million a year. City have gone from 100 odd million a year to 800, 900 million a year, and they claim they didn't cheat. So if those two teams can do it, then there's no reason for Newcastle and Forest and Villa to not be able to catch up. You've just got to build it over time, like United, like Arsenal. I just think this was about City trying to get what they wanted. And what I loved about yesterday's result is they've got their deals through. The Prem's gone, okay, cool, you can have them. But the laws are staying in place, which means Newcastle can't sponsor their grass for 3 billion quid. And Newcastle fans have gone from, thanks City for fighting the good fight for us to, you've stopped pushing, you said it's lawful. That's the thing. Don't ever think any of the other 19 clubs are on your side. There's no cartel. Man United and City right now are both on the same side for an argument to not have wage caps and spending caps put in place. So there are some rules where you'll see City and United on the same side. There are some rules where you see them against each other. Every ownership, every club will vote for what's best for their football club. None of these billionaires are bullied by each other. Tony Bloom's intimidated by any of the other billionaires because he's not quite as rich as them. You've all got a lot of learning to do here. It's crazy to me. And if it's based on how much money you have, then why wouldn't everybody bow down to what Newcastle want? Because their owners are richer than everybody else combined. Then none of them are intimidated by each other. So, yeah, it's one of those things for me. On Pep, though, let's take a little listen to this clip here, because obviously we played them this weekend. I want to get your views on this, Mark.
No doubt, regardless of how brilliant you think Pep Guardiola is, however high you rank him in the pantheon of great managers, Roman Abramovich last season would have sacked him, no doubt.
That's insane.
Do you think there's
he wouldn't have sacked a manager?
Oh, he 100% would. He
not have sacked him.
100% would. He sacked Carlo Ancelotti in the tunnel of Goodison Park off the back of winning the double. Like, there's no doubt in my mind.
So you got a manager that like, you can say you don't want to talk about as much as you want. Wins 4 league titles, a treble, a domestic treble, 100 points, and he has one season where he comes third, and you're saying he's gone.
Pep has previous for running when the pressure's on.
For running when the pressure's on.
Yeah. Roberto Di Matteo sent him into sabbatical, didn't he? Roberto Di Matteo made him go
crying. Pep runs when
he's running for them hills.
He schooled Ferguson twice at Barcelona in Champions League finals. Twice in Champions League finals with Barcelona.
He won
6 Premier League titles, including 100 points. I've said it again. People don't digest these facts.
Just think about Roberto Di Matteo.
You're letting them get to you, man. They're trying to do this to you.
They can if they
You know what?
want.
He started trying to tilt us, and now look at him.
I've never seen him so rattled.
He's saying rattled.
Pep Guardiola the greatest manager the Premier League's ever
He's
seen?
the greatest manager of all time.
Oh, come on. Even the greatest manager in the he's not even the greatest manager in the city in the history of Manchester.
I'll just sit here now because it's.
Obviously, some laughs and jokes in there, and they actually started off. It's really funny because I know that Luke's been on the United stand, and I've got no personal issue with him, so I want to make sure I'm very clear about that. It started off with a conversation about Pep's form, a bad start to the season. He's got 2 very difficult games against us in the derby and then away to Arsenal. It ended up going into a conversation about him kind of digging Fergie out again, which he typically likes to do. Obviously, there's a couple of bits to unpack in there, but do you think Pep's the greatest manager of all time?
No, I mean, look. Ultimately, the kid needs to understand that they were winding him up there. Like, ultimately, that he could have dealt with that in a much better way. I'm not here to defend a Man City fan, though, so I'll talk about Pep. But I mean, what's the relevancy of Roman Abramovich sacking Pep Guardiola? Is this the former Chelsea manager that's not allowed to manage owner who's not allowed to own Chelsea anymore? There's no relevancy to that. So, I don't know what that was all about. But going to his point, Pep Guardiola is not the greatest manager of all time. He's not the greatest manager in Manchester, and he's not the greatest manager in the Premier League. Because, as I've said many a time, and I would say to him and any Man City fan, there is no doubt that Pep Guardiola is a relentlessly methodical coach at the detriment of his own health, I think, sometimes. Maybe of his own relationships, personal relationships, player relationships. I look at the way that someone like a Sam Allardyce coached, probably turned up on a Friday, said, let's get at them, lads. And, that was the tactics. Whereas Pep Guardiola, you get the feeling, probably spends hours and hours telling a player what to do in each situation. So you can't disrespect him as a coach, even though I don't really like his style of play. But what I would say is that the glaringly obvious analysis of Pep Guardiola is this. Every single job he's taken, he's walked into a team that was already well on the way to being built. Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Manchester City. He's also walked into a team that has an open checkbook. Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Manchester City. He has never built a club from the ground up, and he has never taken a job at a club that was on its arse. Jose Mourinho, Sir Alex Ferguson, Jurgen Klopp, Arsene Wenger. So in the context of his coaching ability, Pep Guardiola deserves to be up there with the greats. In the context of being the greatest manager ever, manager is not just having good tactics and good players and a nice cushy job to walk into and leave at the best. Being a great manager has to be in the face of adversity, in the face of challenge. Sir Alex Ferguson rebuilt a great football club. Arsene Wenger rebuilt a great football club. Jurgen Klopp rebuilt a great football club. In the conversation of who's the greatest Premier League manager, I would be looking at managers who rebuilt legacies. Pep Guardiola walked into Man City, they'd already won the league. He's a brilliant manager. I said at the start of this season, if he takes Man City back to the top, he'll have done something he's never done, and he'll earn respect in the game. Man City aren't quite on their arse, but they're in need of a rebuild. He never does a rebuild. So let's see if he can do it. But I respect Pep. He's a very good manager. But I don't put him in the same category as Sir Alex, Arsene Wenger, Jose Mourinho, or Jurgen Klopp, because they've rebuilt football clubs or built football clubs. And that's very, very difficult. Anybody can walk into a business that's already performing well with an open checkbook and say, go and get the best you can. You walk into a business that's bankrupt and in major trouble and you haven't got that much money. Then now we're talking.
Do you know what I find very interesting about your take? That forget Pep for a moment and this eradicate him from our conversation.
I'd love to see what he'd say to that, by the way. Because I don't need to banter him. I'd say, come on.
I'm
not running up a hill with Kate Bush. Let's have a proper chat.
For me, I agree with Luke when he says United fans try and pretend Fergie didn't spend money. He's right. If any Man United fans pretending we didn't spend money and we just built it all ourselves, as in we didn't invest in any big players, break transfer records, spend big, it's disingenuous. And I think for me, whenever I listen to a debate, as soon as people start lying about their opponent or the topic they're against in the debate, I think you instantly lose. Equally, if you're trying to win the debate, don't say, well, Fergie never spent. He built it all himself. And yes, he took the club from the ashes. And there's always these little things that go, oh, but they finished like in the top 4 the year or so before he arrived. Yes. But if you actually look at our history in that 20-year period, yes, there was a 4th place in there, but we weren't really in title races. We were continually failing. The club was crumbling. The academy was gone. The bit that upsets me is, and the mainstream, the Gary Linekers of this world, all of them pull into this. They speak on this topic and they ignore the situation that was inherited and built. But equally, when it comes to Luke and a lot of these City fans, they always talk about money. Fergie spent this. Let's put inflation on Fergie spending. It's $1 billion he spent. So he didn't only spend 700 million. It'd be 3 billion if you put inflation on it. But we did the maths the other day, Mark. With inflation, Pep has outspent Fergie in the Premier League by 110 million a year if you add the same rate of inflation to Fergie spending as you do to Pep's, because Pep's been here nearly 10 years and the price of players has gone up and more money has come into the games. You've got to keep adding it. Even if you don't add inflation to Pep, but only to Fergie, he still outspent him by, I think it's just over 60 million a year. So Pep has inherited better situations. Fergie was only the 10th highest spender in the Premier League in that first 9 years. I use 9 years because Pep's been here 9 years, where Pep in the Premier League has been the 2nd highest spender. In La Liga was the 2nd highest spender when he was at Barca and was the number 1 spender when he was in Germany. And I take nothing away from Pep. I only ever speak about how brilliant he is. I don't call him a checkbook manager. I don't need to diminish him because I think he's a great. For me, though, it's the way people lie or disregard the brilliant things that Sir Alex did. What Jose did, for instance, when he went to Porto, took over a team in Portugal, didn't just make them the best team in Portugal, made them the best team in Europe. For me, doing that, yes, he had good players. Yes, he would have spent money. But those types of achievements, what Cloughy did at Forest, what the Shankleys and Paisleys did at Liverpool, I personally find that better. Not because it's Pep. I just so wish there was social media 10, 15 years ago. I was saying exactly the same thing. For me, I've always said it. If Pep left City, went to AC Milan, rebuilt them over 2 or 3 years, and then made them the best team in Europe again, you'd then have an argument with all these other achievements to go, maybe he is the GOAT. I think it's a lot harder to fix something. It's harder to build a house, to build a broken house, knock it down and rebuild it than it is to add a beautiful extension and a swimming pool onto an already wonderful home. There's a much bigger achievement in there. In terms of just last point I want to go to you with, Mark, who do you think's winning the derby this weekend? Who are you going with?
I think it'll be a draw. Yeah, I think it'll be a draw. And just to add into that as well, I think that, look, if you look at like Sir Alex Ferguson spent money, of course he spent money. If you look at like Pep Guardiola walks into Man City, they've won the league, they've got great players, he gets an open checkbook. Sir Alex Ferguson walks into Man United, not won the league in over 20 years, club on its arse, basically a cup team, spends money, takes us back to the top. In modern day terms, Ruben Amorim takes the job after Ten Hag, and you take the job from, I don't know, Man City now. What's the harder job? Come on. And what do you need to do to get back to the top? I mean, what I find funny about people saying spend money, I mean, Pep Guardiola is the best checkbook manager in the world. He can have that title. Let's get a trophy made up. It's still a skill. Spending money is still a skill. Like, lots of people buy flops. But like any football club, look at Newcastle. They've not gone from relegation to relegation candidates when Eddie Howe took over to Champions League football without spending money. Spending money is always going to be the way. But what people say about Pep is true. Like he never puts himself in a situation where it's not an open goal. And people will say, well, look, when he took the Barcelona job in 2008, Real Madrid had just won the league. With all due respect, tell me a year where Barcelona and Real Madrid aren't in the top 3. Like they're always going to. I mean, Barcelona won the league last year. I don't know how they did it. because for the previous few years they were financial crisis, big trouble. But you're always so close to the top if you're Barcelona or Real Madrid that you can click very, very quickly.
Barcelona have only been out since 1988. They've only been out of the top 4 that year, and then in 2003. But yes, he came in 08-09. Year before that, they came third. They had a bad year. Year before that, they were second. Year before that, they won the league. Year before that, they won the league.
His best legacy for me is Barcelona. Like Bayern Munich, total open goal. Man City, total open goal. Brilliant coach, but you know what? I think he's always going to have that, unless, like you, he goes to AC Milan tomorrow and takes them from a club on their arse to Champions League winners, and then people will go, "Wow!" You know.
I agree, and I look at some people go, "Well, you can't judge him on what he hasn't done." I'm like, "Well, I am, and I'm not." But it's something Fergie has done. It's something Cloughy has done. It's something Shankly has done. It's something Busby did. It's this rebuilding of teams. Listen, I don't even think there's a lie going around that he rebuilt City. No, he added to what was already a very good squad at City. Rebuilding is when you build a great team, and they were a great team that did a 4-peat and won a treble. It's about rebuilding that greatness, because it's not even the technical ability. It's having the mental strength and energy to go through that process again of your team dropping off and not winning, bringing in new players, implementing your style, adapting to the changes that go on. More people have worked you out because of where you are. And the Premier League is different to Spain and Germany, because in those countries, they have 2-3 teams max that can compete with each other financially. In Germany, it's 1. In Spain, really, it's 2. In England, like City have not got... I'm not saying City are lucky. Man United have only spent in Pep's era a couple of $100 million less than City. If we actually had good people running our club, if Chelsea hadn't have gone off the boil for a few years, that they had a little bit of a run where some of the other clubs fell off, and that isn't Pep's fault. But it's harder now for Pep to rebuild. He's now going to see what Fergie experienced, which is the Chelseas and the Arsenals and the Liverpools, the Newcastles, the Blackburns, City at the latter end, pecking at his head the whole time, whilst you're trying to rebuild. There's no room. It's so stressful, and this is the first time he's experiencing it. I still think he's a brilliant manager. I just don't like the disrespect on his name. Super.